My guest today is Ash Naidu, Group ECD for Leo Singapore. Our common thread, we're both South African, we've both worked in New York and Singapore. And today, we're not just talking about brand building, but through the eyes of being global citizens. Ash, welcome to Bite Size Insights, where we unpack the world of designing brands.
Thank you so much. So good to be chatting to you again, Susie. Long time.
How have you had to adjust your creative approach, your creative leadership, having worked in three very different countries and continents?
Yeah. I guess like you said in the intro, we were lucky that we got to work in South Africa and Singapore and New York. It's interesting because it is very different, the industries are quite different. The types of creatives are very different. I still haven't found a more enthusiastic bunch of creatives. Even now, being at Cannes recently, and I've met up with the whole South African bunch, and they still as passionate about and hungry to do great work as ever. And I honestly haven't found that level of enthusiasm and creativity and hunger
Yeah.
as we had in South Africa back in the day. Singapore, as you would have known as well from working there, is slightly different in that it's a quieter, sort of more reserved setup with
Mm.
creatives. Back in the day, there was a history of the sort of expat CDs or
Ah,
ECDs coming in,
yeah.
and they were these dictator types who were just like sort of like this is the way we do it and da 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 da. And
Mm,
people thought that that was the only way to have great creative cultures and agencies, which
mhm.
I don't think that great work comes when you work under fear. It's been my motto to prove that nice people will finish first. You
Yes,
can do great
yes,
work,
right.
but you can be decent human beings while you're doing it. So I guess my approach in Singapore is give people a platform where they can feel safe to express themselves freely without any repercussions and just get the best out of people that way. There's a lot of good thinking and ideas here. It's just allowing people to know that you can break the rules and you can do
Hmm.
things. This is, aim large and see what
Yeah,
happens. So, but it's fun and it's to your point, it's different everywhere you go. It's about
yes.
finding the right mixture of things. Yeah.
I first started off in Singapore 26 years ago. I mean, I just can't believe this. And so I really understand what you're talking about. I have found, actually, particularly here in the US, people think, oh, because I'm Caucasian, I'm a Westerner. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to, actually say to people, I'm not a Westerner. I'm from Africa. And, we in South Africa, we've got our Ubuntu philosophy.
Yeah.
And I found that idea of all tides rise worked a lot easier actually
Yeah.
in Asia.
Mm.
And what helped me is I actually went down the history route and I started reading a lot of books about Chinese history and Singapore history to really
Yeah.
understand that come from state. I think that has served me well because I've had projects where, you're trying to decode the semiotics of,
Yeah.
the Mexican market or the Russian market or, what it means to be Black and African American. And I always go back to what is the come from state. And then that has helped me really be able to understand how to then work with different people. You have a mission, and that is to get Leo on Singapore's creative map. Tell us about
Yeah.
it.
Well, I just think there's a lot of potential here. I mean, Singapore as a country is so small, but it punches so high above its weight. You look around, the architecture is next
Yes.
level. Some of the buildings here, the food scene is amazing. And it just feels like the one thing that's not hitting those levels is advertising, and it should be.
Mhm.
So I just feel like it should be up there with the best in the world at the
Mhm.
biggest award shows as well. You know how you have a town hall when you join and you have to give your vision. The new creative leaders came in and said, "Oh, I want to do fearless advertising." And everybody goes,
Yes.
"Wow." And for that forum, it's amazing. But the next day, when you're sitting in a review and doing some social posts and you try to do fearless social posts, it doesn't always work. So, my intentionally simple sort of philosophy is surprising solutions. Solutions
Yes.
because we're here to solve our clients' business problems. That's what we're here at the end of the day for. And then just to do it in the most interesting, emotional, funny, sad,
Yes.
inspiring, surprising ways. And and
Yes.
and that's what it's all about. I think no matter what job you're working on, you can always find an interesting way of solving the problem.
Yes.
That's regardless of anything you do. And so it's just, trying to get the creatives to think about it that way and
Mhm.
avoid the sea of sameness that exists.
Oh.
And I think there's so much clutter, and especially now with AI,
Mhm.
everybody can produce polished stuff, but
Mhm.
everything looks good, but does it have meaning and does it have a soul and does it have something to say? So I think it's just about that. And I think there's a lot of potential for Singapore. We should be on the world stage in terms of advertising, and there's the
Yes.
potential here.
First of all, I think people don't actually know how hard it is to get to simple truths. Secondly, the fluff words are just, you used one,
Yeah.
fearless is one of the fluff words.
Yeah.
Fearless, authentic,
Oh,
innovative,
yeah.
unless you know your Boston dynamics, can you call yourself innovative? But sometimes I think people are using these words, even in brand, propositions, and you go, well, what does that even look like? Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know, but I also think there's a different level of risk taking that's happening at the moment. And that is why you're getting that sea of sameness. I just feel like everything is just, what does the data say? And
Yeah.
emotion, getting that emotional connection is an absolute imperative. Let's talk about Nigerian Prince. Oh my goodness, Ash, you've just come back from Cannes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
The
you.
campaign did so well with receiving awards on golds and bronze. Our Nigerian Prince. What is so unique about this campaign is that you ran it through the Prince's social feed, not
Yeah.
Vaseline. I just
Yeah.
love it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, where to begin? What a lovely, amazing project. You sometimes in your career, you just look back and you think, how did that happen? Everything just aligned. But it definitely started with one of the best clients I've ever had. And that's the thing, you would know
Yes.
if you don't have great clients, it's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to do great work. And the problem was that Vaseline in Nigeria has got a really great heritage. It's like a household name. Everybody grew up with Vaseline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the problem was that there were a lot of fakes entering the market looking
Mm-hmm.
exactly like Vaseline and this particular Vaseline body oil to the point where people didn't know what was real and what wasn't real anymore. And it's so interesting in this social media world. Everybody
Mm.
turns to influencers to
Yeah,
sort of get the truth. And,
yeah,
we trust influencers sometimes more than we trust brands. And so people were going to their trusted influencers, but these poor influencers were holding up what they thought were real products, but were actually fake. So even the influencers didn't know what was real or fake. So we kind of knew that in order to restore trust, we had to do something in the social space because that's where people were going for answers. But we couldn't
mm-hmm.
go in as Vaseline as a brand because, you know, the following wasn't quite there, but also going back to that authenticity thing, it needed to come from some other credible source. And so we started
Mm-hmm.
thinking, who in the social space could do this job or who could we partner with? And the team had this genius idea. They were like, well, there's that Nigerian scam email that's so famous. And
Mm.
imagine being a Nigerian prince and having your identity stolen. How would that feel? And they were like, well, if they know what it's like, that's kind of like what Vaseline is going through. So why don't we
Yes.
bring the two together? And so the idea of having a real Nigerian prince be the representative of Vaseline with this shared sort of problems that they're experiencing and coming together to try to right this wrong just felt like a really surprising solution. Everything went through Prince Chris's sort of Instagram post. So it was him and his followers, and then it got organically picked up in social. I don't think we would have got that if we went through Vaseline and our
Yeah,
channels. I don't think we would have
yeah.
got the following. I don't think we would have got the natural pickup. Like everybody was like, have you seen what Prince Chris is doing? And da 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 da. And then,
Yes.
the Prince became the talk of the town and Vaseline by association. But people just followed what he was saying. And there was an authenticator that actually allowed you to take a shot of your Vaseline, and it could immediately tell you from the prints, whether it's real or fake. So everything just aligned so well, and it was just a beautiful campaign, which we pulled off in like 3 months. It's the quickest we've done anything so good,
Incredible.
and it was all because it just felt right. It just felt
Mm,
right. Yeah.
mm,
Sometimes you work on these projects where everything just comes together beautifully, and this was one of
yes.
those. Yeah.
You said a few things that I think are so true. Number one, you really do need a client, a brand, a whatever, CEO level to really have creativity as a competitive advantage,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to do work if you don't, at the highest level, have somebody
Exactly.
understand the role and the value of creativity and strategy. And actually, that's what my entire, channel is all about. What's important, I think, in today's world, when you've got these fake brands or, dupes, is
Mm.
really understanding what is the cost of not defending for your brand.
Yeah.
So, people that are using the fake Vaseline, what is the damage that can be done,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing about Vaseline in particular. Like Unilever is pretty good at it, but Vaseline as a brand, they've done verified recently. They're really good in this space, and they really understand the power of creativity to drive business results, but also
Mm-hmm.
to drive brand awareness and
Mm-hmm.
loyalty and things like that. As an organization, they embrace creativity. We often talk about creativity being a multiplier and economic
Mm-hmm.
multiplier, and they really buy into it. And you can see from all the work they do that
Yeah,
that's a competitive advantage, like you say. And they could see people, people really having their skin damaged by these fake products.
yeah,
So this was less to do with the business results and more to do with, just being good to their consumers, building that brand loyalty, restoring the trust. But even then, a lot of organizations would have done a very sort of safe kind of approach and do not use this and that and blah, blah, blah.
mm-hmm.
And the awareness was there. People knew they
Mm-hmm.
were fakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think like a straight sort of watch out, be careful of fakes would
Mm-hmm.
have done anything. The
Mm-hmm.
creativity in using the prints is what cut through and got
Yes.
to people and got the spread because the budget wasn't big, but the
Mm-hmm.
talkability and the stickiness of using the prints
Mm-hmm.
is what got people to talk. That's all the thing. With advertising, I think you just have to get people talking, and
Yes.
very little work does that these days. So
Yeah.
so I mean, good on Vaseline for identifying that
Brilliant.
creativity can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, you didn't spend, you didn't break bank on that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's the same. I look back on my career, you don't have to have, you can create something that can be really, really beautiful. You don't have to have
Yeah.
all the nuts and bolts to go with it to make
I
it
mean,
work.
coming from South
You need
Africa,
that.
we know, right?
Yes.
We never had big budgets in South
Yeah.
Africa. And
Yeah.
I think that made us more creative. We had to
Yeah.
be more creative. We had to come up with ideas that got a lot more before the days of, organic reach and,
Yes.
and PR ability. Before all of that, I think our ideas were naturally had that built in because they had to, because we didn't have
Yes.
money for media and money for
Yeah.
production. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's interesting, actually 2 days ago, I was sitting with my old partner when we were together on feminine care, and I had managed the FAM platform, which is this memory foam pad. Brilliant. It's the prestige, the most premium feminine care that you can get. It's just incredible. And she said to me, "Oh, by the way, Walmart have duped us." Which
Oh,
of course is always a great compliment to have your creative, somebody try to copy you. But, if we talk about the damage of putting a Vaseline on
yeah.
your skin that does not have the correct ingredients, this is exactly where we are now with this. And so I'm very curious to see how this is going to be managed
Yeah.
with Walmart because the product that they have gone and copied will never have the innovation and technology
Yeah.
that we had put. And I know that I know that product so intimately.
Yeah.
And there's a risk there, of consumers thinking, oh, well, if I just buy this version, it looks so similar, I must get the
Yeah.
same experience. And you won't, you just won't. Tell me, Ash, what is your favorite work at the moment?
We were talking about one of our very good friends, mutual friends, Andy Grant, is he's in charge of the adult category of Lego, which sounds so
Yes,
interesting.
yes, yes.
Uh,
I
he's
was there.
working.
I visited Lego 2 months ago. It's
Oh, really?
incredible,
It looks so
incredible
cool. The
business.
building looks like a
Incredible.
big Lego block, like a big Lego
Yeah,
building. Yeah.
yes. They're doing
And
great
he's
stuff.
doing some amazing work. I mean, there was the World Cup stuff with all the soccer stars, which was awesome. And everyone wants a piece, I think was the line. That
Mhm.
was great. And I just this week saw the X-Files one with Gillian Anderson, which is
Yes,
awesome. Just done
yes.
so well. I think what they've done so well is the collaborations, because
Hmm.
Lego, I mean, the oldest toy in the world, right? But
Yes.
still managing to keep so relevant and modern, and doing it in such a fun way. The work is almost in the same style, as fun and playful as the toy itself. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lego is a legacy brand. And, another great example of having creativity and innovation at the forefront. Lego was not doing so well at a certain point.
Yeah.
And often I talk about, there's the Kodak brand for film,
Yeah.
and then there's Lego, right? And they were on this same trajectory, if you will. And I don't know if you know this, but the people at Kodak, when they were creating film, they actually created the first digital camera.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they had I don't know the gentleman's name, but he had gone and shared this with the leadership team, and he was told, we're a film company, right? And this was the thing that they didn't realize. Actually, their brand purpose was about creating memories.
Yeah.
And so Kodak wasn't able to overcome that. And Lego was in a very, very similar
Mm.
place, but they have stuck true to, obviously players at their core. And when you
Yeah.
go to the campus, oh, Ash, I mean, it's just delightful. Even just walking through the gardens
Yeah.
is really
I can
great.
imagine.
Um, but was there any pieces at Cannes that stood out for you?
Yes. My two favorites, I would say. One was Oreo cows, just because it's so silly. You know how Oreos has the specific color, the shapes. It's the
Yes.
the black and the white, the black and
Yeah.
brown, white, brown.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing with Oreos has always been Oreos and milk go together.
Yes.
And so to let people, or to amplify it in Mexico, there was this really silly project done where they found these cows that had the bands that looked exactly like Oreos. So it was black, white, black. And they called them Oreo cows. And they made these
Yeah.
20 cows famous. And they took the actual band patterns of the cows and created milk bottles with their milk and sold it with Oreos. So it is such a silly,
It was
stupid,
brilliant.
lovely, kind of brilliant
Brilliant.
thing. And I love those ideas that are so crazy, because I mean the branding of Oreos is so distinctive.
Yes.
And to play off that and the association with milk, it was done in that sort of mockumentary style, where
Yes.
everybody was laughing at this crazy farmer. And then they
Yes.
actually went into the real world with product and printed the designs on 20 different milk bottles and sold that to people. So I thought that was really great. Yeah.
Oreo is actually got incredible assets. I'm very certain that if you ask people to draw an Oreo logo, they would
Yeah.
get, most of it right. They would
Yeah.
probably even put the logo at a slant. They own three colors. I mean,
Yeah.
their blue packaging is an equity asset for them. And of course, so is the black, white, black. I watched that ad twice. It was so funny, which is very rare for me to watch something twice. But you have to play on those assets that you own as a brand.
I agree with you. I think, leading into your strengths and leading into your very distinctive brand assets, only they could do that. No other cookie brand, no other, the classic thing people say, oh, you could have put another logo on that and it could have worked. And
Uh,
sometimes I think that's a bit of a cop out because whoever does it first is is should own it. But in this case, only Oreo could do that. It was
yeah.
so distinctive, which makes it so unique. Yeah.
Yeah, that black, white, black is, I really think that there's an opportunity there to just extend it even more.
Yeah.
And of course, they're doing so many collaborations now. I don't know what it's like there in Singapore, but every time I go to my grocer here, which is called Kroger, I mean,
Yeah.
there's always a collaboration.
Another one was Columbia. I don't know if you know Columbia Sportswear, and they've
Yes,
got this new platform engineered for anything, which is really cool. And they've been doing some fun work. But this year at Cannes, they had one piece where it was called Expedition Impossible. And it
yes,
was really interesting because I guess Columbia Sportswear is made to sort of take you to the edge of, sports and like really push it.
yes,
And so to get PR, the CEO of the company went
yeah,
on to live TV and said, put out a challenge to all the flat earthers. So anybody who thinks the earth is flat, we challenge you. If you can go to the end of the earth and snap a little photograph and send it, you can have the entire company,
brilliant,
which is such a
brilliant.
ridiculous and fun sort of PRable challenge. And it was just a great way to show, first of all, in a really crazy way, but show the sportswear in different scenarios that are really pushing the extremes, but the PR ability of, the CEO actually saying, yeah, if you take a snap, you can have the whole company. And the video was funny. He went through the whole company saying, oh, you can have this and you can have that and you can have
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And then you had
brilliant.
all these conspiracy theorists calling in and all the social channels were going crazy. It was such a genius way of tapping into this sort of counterculture online and the
Yeah.
conspiracy world and just tapping into that so beautifully. So it's entertaining for everyone, not just the flat earthers, but everybody looking at that going, that's just mad. And then Columbia
Yes,
just shines as a brand, so it's
that
awesome.
was that was absolutely brilliant. And again, it came from the top,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
that is
so
just
good.
fantastic. Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. I'm going to drop those links in. So, Ash, when you were at Cannes, I know the year before was all about AI. This year was
Yeah.
all about creators. You got
It
any
was
headline news for us?
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know how many hundreds of creators were invited, thousands of creators were invited, but it almost felt like there were two worlds. There was the advertising and creativity stuff that we know and love in the Palais. And then
Mm,
on the beach, it was just tech companies and platforms who had invited a whole bunch of creators. And, you know, I just like sort of it dawned on me the extreme that we've gotten to. One of my friends was speaking to one of the creators and said, I've just come from the Palais at the award show. And the
mm.
creator said, what award show? And she said,
No.
well, the Cannes Advertising Award. He was like, oh, it's an award show. I thought this was like a tech conference. That's why they invited all of us. There are
Mm,
clearly two worlds that are operating. The Cannes we know, and then this whole tech platform. And hopefully there's a merger of the two where the
mm.
beach joins in with the Palais.
Yes.
And yeah, because it just feels like it can't keep going on like that. It feels like they're operating in completely different worlds. So
Mm.
yeah, that was really eye-opening. Yeah,
But I do think, I think these next few years are going to be very unsettling. We've got a
yeah,
lot of, certainly in big corporate, creative coming in-house. We've got a lot of disbanding of, your typical ad agencies. And
yeah.
you've got this creator world. And at the end of the day, if you want to stand out as a brand, you have to have absolute clarity. in what
Yeah.
you stand for, what you don't stand for. And I really believe that that creative and that strategy, honestly, I feel like businesses are just so focused on the next 6 months.
Yeah.
You know,
Short termism. Yeah.
I call it throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? What
Yeah.
sticks? And at the end of the day, you know, you do need strategy, you do need
Yeah.
vision planning, you do need to have those building blocks and that storytelling that all connect.
Yeah, definitely. I think the brands that really know who they are and what they
Yes.
stand for, it's almost like they can flex more easily when things like new technologies come in, like AI. It doesn't change who they are at their core.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just another way of expressing themselves, you know.
Hmm.
And with creators coming along, I think the good brands know what messages they want to get out there. They know how they want to get out there. So those are the brands that will shine. And to your
Hmm.
point, it is about strategically knowing what your role is and what
Hmm.
your meaning is. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Ash, thank you so much. Been a joy to spend this time with you.
No worries. So good to catch up.